Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, President and CEO of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and award-winning author. And welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have Marla Diann. With over 30 combined years of entrepreneurship, personal growth, professional development, mentoring, coaching, training, entertainment, PR, and talent management, and personal branding, Marla Diann embodies authenticity, empowerment, vulnerability, and creativity. With 25 plus years as a creative entrepreneur of two businesses, Marla imparts intuitive and practical wisdom to her audience. She speaks to women and men entrepreneurs, event and wedding business owners, and creative professionals of all kinds with grace and passion. She has an extraordinary intuitive approach to commanding her audience to be engaging and interactive. Her style is talk with her audience, not at them. She is a compelling storyteller who understands the heart of humanity. She is known for being an advocate of transformational coach in the area of wealth, consciousness, and your money relationship to upgrade your worth and dignity. Money habits, behaviors, and mindset are deeply rooted, requiring a recalibration in order to create better results. She intuitively uses the transformation of your money relationship as a catalyst for change in all parts of your life. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my platform Ms. Marla Diann. Hey, Marla, how are you?
Well, hello, Kimberly. It is an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to have you on. You know, most people don't know that we were chit-chatting away in the background, so I cannot wait to share and hear your story. And, you know, we can talk about, we got a lot of things we're going to talk about tonight. Of course, our main focus that we agreed that you wanted to talk about was going to be on stand for your worth and dignity. But before we dive into that, because, I can't wait to have that conversation. But before we dive into that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Marla, can you please tell my listeners just a little bit more about who Marla Diann really is?
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Like, where do I begin? Well, okay. And this is in my bio on my website. It's one of the first sentences is that I was born with a happy chip in me. Meaning positivity is my superpower. At least that's what I've come to learn, even most recently, is that, just naturally I'm positive. I'm optimistic. I've always have been. And it turned into, as far as, as an adult, a career that's about supporting people and their brilliance and inspiration and all of that, how perfect that is. And so, what I essentially did is created a 20-year career in the entertainment industry as a publicist, which was a ton, Kimberly. Oh my gosh, a ton of fun. It was perfect for me for my first 20 years of being in business or professional. I have a degree in PR journalism, so I monetized my journalism writing skills into that PR career. And that was fantastic until 20-year mark. And I went, okay, what's next? I think I'm done with this. And at the same time, everything around me, not only in the PR industry was changing, but everything was innovating back in 2006 when people were trying to figure out, what is this social media? What's a viral video? What's a blog? What are we doing? That's when I went, it's time for me to reinvent, right? And so I took all those 20 years, including obviously the positivity, and then created, through a longer story short, created a mentoring, coaching, empowerment company that back then, it was 2008 when I started my coaching company, and it was through a mentor. And I've never go without a coach, everybody, by the way.
Right.
I'm a coach, and I never go without one. is they said, this particular mentor, as I was trying to figure out what am I going to do with all these years of experience, says, well, you can turn your expertise into a product. I go, what? She says, well, you can be a coach. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can be a coach and you can teach people. I said, okay, hold on a minute, because I was already a student of Tony Robbins and a student of Jack Canfield and other women, coaches, but it never occurred to me to be a coach, right? Mm-hmm. And so when she explained it, I said, so wait a minute, I could teach people how to publicize their business? She says, well, yeah. I said, what about personal branding? A lot of people don't know how to turn themselves into a brand. Mm-hmm. But that's not natural. That's not very natural. I said, that's what I was doing with celebrities and visual and performing artists. I can do that. And so all in one fell swoop over a couple months, I created this whole new avenue for myself that was very befitting back then of all the new online things that we needed to learn.
Wow.
Right? Mm-hmm. So that's how I started. My company was called Embrace Your Spotlight. Mm-hmm. And I taught entrepreneurs, mostly women, how to turn themselves into a brand online and how to monetize it on Facebook and email marketing and all that way back then. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just evolved since then. I would say the 5-6 year mark, I went, okay, you know what? Everyone else is a personal branding expert. I'm out of that. I started it. I'm out of it now. I'm going to go do something, I'm going to evolve here. And I did. And I started focusing more on the success coaching, the mindset, the money relationship, and then the business strategy coaching. Yeah.
Wow.
Here I am.
Yeah, so there you are. So, and the one thing you definitely have going for you is the happy bug. I mean, this lady right here, even if I had to make a dime, just being happy, you have that bubbliness that is just overwhelming, and I love it. And, being in the business that you're in as a PR talent, and then taking that and moving it into personal branding, and then now taking it and moving into, making money and how to transform your mindset. That's, that is definitely you. I don't know if I could see you doing anything else, because
I know, thank you. No, really, you're so spot on. That's what made me realize, as we evolve as women, it's like we get wiser, we get more intuitive, right? We really, our feminine arts, if you are, feminine assets really start to shine. And that's what came of all this. I went, oh, boy, I really followed and this, by the way, is a very important tenet that I coach, that I stand by, which is I really followed my joy.
Yes.
Meaning I followed what lit me up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's important.
And that's what turned into
Yeah. And I can, like I said, just to hear you talk, everything that you say, you don't say it as like it's a job. You literally love what you do. And, that's the whole purpose of us wanting to be in business. We want to love what we do, but sometimes we can get into business and it becomes a mundane type of thing. It's like, I'm making money and, it's my livelihood. But at the same time, people don't always have that joy that comes with that. So having someone like you, bring that out of them and, and talking about, the joy, because we all have a personal passion. It's just wondering how we need to elevate that passion. Is it something you really want to do, or is it just something you just enjoy? And then it's funny because you said we were conversating earlier and you were like, well, you just do this because it's your passion. I'm like, well, yes and no. We all love doing something we enjoy, and the key is that having a podcast, gives people the opportunity to truly tell the story, and you can have that opportunity to tell it to multiple amounts of people versus just the people that you're standing in front of, right? So, here you are. You're sharing your wisdom, and now, you're going to, and then I know you told me, and eventually you're going to have your own podcast, and I can't wait to hear it, because I'm telling you, for those who are listening now, if you hear this energy now, can you imagine what Marla's podcast show is going to be like? It's going to be
sweet.
Awesome.
That's really
awesome.
That's really kind of you. Thank you. And it's the name of the podcast is Follow Your Joy.
See, there you go. See, so
there you go.
Yeah. See, now I'm pushing you to make sure you get it done, Marla.
Oh God, I have, Kimberly, and I know ladies out there, you're listening to me. It's like, I want so much. I'm very excited about wanting to do it. I'm just really working at, and being a business coach, I know about leverage and high payoff activities and being able to really, man my calendar, if you will. That's the only thing right now that I'm in the middle of transforming is my productivity, or I should say my mindful productivity, and how I'm going to fit this into my already full life.
I know,
right?
I know. It's crazy. And it's funny because we thought, for the last couple of years that things were going to be slowing down, and reality is they have not really slowed down as far as staying in business, doing business, and having the option to be able to do everything virtually. So it's like your whole world is constantly moving, and there isn't, when you think you have time, you don't really have that much time. And it's like, wait a minute now.
Well, you don't. You've got to be so, and I use this word lightly, scrutinizing, but I call it leverage and high payoff activities and, what you focus on. But it's like you got to really be specific. What are you putting your eyes on? What are you putting your focus on? Because things move so fast, and thank goodness, I'm so grateful, as you stated, that, things haven't slowed down. We've always had, at least I know you and I know many of your listeners, we've had an online business. We didn't have to pivot, right? We already were doing online. So, yeah, it's busy. Thank you, God, for that. But I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this podcast. I'm a journalist, I'm talking to people like you, right? I love doing what you're doing. I'm like, I got everything sitting here waiting for me to start creating things, but I'm looking at my calendar every week. I put it in my calendar to begin the first, recording of the first 2 episodes. Like,
right.
When am I going to fix this? Yeah,
I get it. I definitely get it. But, I had to tease you about that, Marla. So, it's okay. I get it. Believe me. We have to make sure we pick the things that are at the top priority. What comes first? What's the most important? And I know that this definitely, you don't need a podcast show, but, you have you telling your stories and teaching and training and coaching people, I'm sure that they get to hear the same excitement that we're all hearing and listening to right now. So now, though, I really want to talk about the stand for your worth and dignity. First of all, I love the title. I love the title. So let's dive into that. So tell us, what is that all about?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to ask you a quick question about it.
Okay.
What is it about that title? And it's very strong. That's why I chose it. What is it about that you went, oh, wow. Okay. What's she got to say around that? I mean, what is it about that?
Well, I think a lot of times that when I see and hear the words, first of all, hear the word worth and dignity. I think being a woman in business, a lot of times we don't always value our own worth. And then we're not always being treated with high dignity in what we do. And so, when I seen that, I was like, oh, we need to talk about this. And even though I know that you're going to be focusing, when you talk about how to, you transforming your money relationships and all that, and with your talents, that's the biggest problem I think that we have sometimes when we're new in business. I fumbled around for several years trying this different type of business compared to what I have done in the past. And it's truly trying to figure out, okay, well, what are you worth? Well, your worth, but then you always have those people who say, well, I'm not paying that. That's just too expensive. I'm like, wait a minute now. Do you go to the store, and say, well, I want steak, but I don't want to pay for that. I only want to pay for the hamburger price. I mean, it's those simplistic things that people don't truly value what you're providing them until they sometimes have no choice. So, do you see that type of title? It just really intrigued me, and I really just wanted to understand and learn what your thought process of that means, and how do you instill that into those who really know that they are valuable but don't really understand how to bring that worth up.
Yeah, good. Oh my gosh. This comes from so much passion for me because I had to transform my money relationship, and couldn't wait to do it when my coach was offering her certification course to teach this stuff. Right. And I knew it was going to change my life, and I knew it was going to change my business owner clients' lives, my women. And it's been nothing short of magical. It's been nothing short of amazing. Because, like what you were giving that example of someone going, what, that's expensive, or whatever judgment they have around the rate, the price, the whatever. That's all coming from our money story, right? That's coming from our money story. And so transforming what I do, and this is how you stand for your worth and your dignity, is you get rid of this story, right? The thinking. You get rid of the story that was no fault of anybody's, imprinted upon you in childhood. In other words, how you, right? How we were brought up, no fault of our caregivers, parents, whoever it is. They did the best they could. They didn't know any different. They didn't have a Marla in their life to change it. Right?
I love it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Marla. Go ahead.
I know, it's true. My parents did the best they could, but boy, did they send a crazy, mixed message to me. Yeah, you can be independent and you're smart and go to college. Yeah, but on the other side, you also need a man to help you. Well, which one is it? Which one is it?
Exactly.
Which one am I supposed to follow? Right. And as a result, of that, I had trouble in my romantic relationships about money. Wow. Because here I was the strong, independent woman, and yet I'm supposed to kind of lean on a man to be smarter in finances than me. It's like, or make more money than me. I'm like, this is so wackadoodle, right? So, that's what I had to heal. That's what I had to learn to stand in my worth and dignity around. So that's very, very common, by the way. Just about all the women that I have coached, including men. I have some beautiful, beautiful creative men. I typically work with creative entrepreneurs. They too needed work on their relationship with money. But for women mostly, most of them was not charging their worth was their main issue. Not charging their worth and not understanding their value, right? So what we're talking about here is your habits, your behaviors, and your belief systems around money. Like everything else that you were imprinted upon as a child, that too gets to be part of who you are as an adult unconsciously. Right? And so when somebody, and here's a scenario around the sales process. Every one of us business owners, we're in this for giving our passion, giving our purpose, giving our service, and we're in it as well for a profit. That's what business is, right? So when we are in the sales process, and we all have a service or product to offer, in this case, service-based businesses, which is mostly my clients, like yours, is that when we're there talking with them, and I call them empowering money conversations, and that is everybody, doesn't matter who they are, what level of income they're at, multimillionaire, six-figure, whatever, everyone has a money story they bring to the table. And that money story affects how they respond to the rate that you're offering them. And here's what I say to all, podcasts, webinars, everything, is your only responsibility, right, in the sales process is to own your worth and to give your potential client enough information to make an educated decision for their needs. That's it. That's your only responsibility. Their money story, bless their hearts, and by the way, in my sales process, I have a qualifying process that I teach. By the time you get to the sales conversation or the discovery call, they're already vetted. They're already qualified. Mm-hmm. But the point is, their money story has nothing to do with your worth and your value. Nothing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm. It does.
Yeah? So somebody says, well, that's, their immediate default reaction because of their unhealed relationship with money, again, no fault of anyone's, is that, oh, wow, that's expensive compared to what?
Right.
Depending on what you're offering. But when you're thinking, well, compared to what? But, and I rarely get that, by the way, but when it does come up, I'll go, okay, are you ready to start? In other words, I don't even talk about it unless they start asking questions, right? Or do you need a few days to think about whatever? And then I will pretty much walk them through their wealth consciousness. I will walk them through, well, geez, have you bought a home lately? Have you bought a car? Have you gone to college? How'd you pay that? How'd you pay for that? How'd you pay for that? Well, in payments. Okay. Did you have them all in your bank account when you decided to go to college, buy a car, buy a house? Well, no. Okay. So why did you buy it? Well, I bought it on faith. I knew I was going to make the money. Bingo. So why would you think you're not going to have the money for something that's going to help change your life?
Right.
Which is an amazing investment. Anyway, the bottom line is, and that's just to give you an example, it's a beautiful, beautiful, elegant process that I take my clients through, and it's very respectful. Right? It's very respectful in that we really explore and examine what their belief systems are, how they were brought up around money. And we've all been brought up, right, in some way that wasn't to our benefit. There were other ways it was to our benefit. It wasn't all bad. But the ones that were causing, and this is what I call fear, worry, lack, judgment, shame, and guilt around money and greed, that's all judgments. That's all judgments that's been passed down right, from generation to generation. It has nothing to do with money and everything to do with the human being that created the judgment.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Go back and repeat that again because, what I love what you just said is that's the key right there. The judgment. That's People have their own personal thoughts and judgment about, well, what makes them think that they deserve to be rich, and why can't the rich go out here and help somebody else and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but how did they get there? They worked for this. Yeah. So you're just telling them they're just supposed to let it all go because you're not there? Very good. So what I said is literally money, everybody listening, ladies, money is innocent of any judgment you put on it. Number one, money is a blessing. Hello? Yes.
Money is a blessing, and it's a tool for goods and services, and it's a tool to help you fund your dreams and desires. That's it. That's all money is.
Yep.
It's not it's right? Okay? So to repeat that is any judgment, fear, worry, lack, right? Shame, guilt, greed, that's all attached to money has nothing to do with the purpose and the meaning of money. Nothing. It's the person, the human being, humankind, that has placed that judgment on that tool.
Absolutely right. And you're absolutely right because go ahead. You want to say something else?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was thinking as you were talking about that when it comes to judgment, and that is part of the reason why we have all these different levels of wealth. So, you have the poor, you have the medium, and then you have the rich, because they're being told generation after generation, oh, well, this is all you can do. This, you just go to school, get a good job, and that's it. So that constant vicious circle of you can't be any more than what you already are. This is the only thing that we're worth. And that's where that is where the problem comes in. So when you said that, it just hit me like like a light bulb went over, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, you hear this all the time. You hear it all the time.
You hear it all the time. So I'm encouraging, you and your listeners, don't believe everything you hear. I mean, in other words, start to examine, right? Obviously, coaching with an expert is going to help you get there. But on your own, really start to question what you believe about money. And is it really true, right? Is it a judgment, or is it really true based on what I've just shared in the last few minutes? And to start questioning, well, how did mom and dad talk about money, right? Or my caregiver, whoever it happened to be. How did they talk about it? How did they feel about it? How did they behave with money? Guess what? You got that. And that's why I called my money transformation content is called my Money Legacy Program. Because money legacy has to do with, here's the bigger picture, which is so close to my heart, and any woman that's, has a family and kids and all that, or not. And that is, we're here to clean up the habits, the behaviors, and the mindset that were passed down to you from generation to generation, no fault of anybody's, so that you can recalibrate, transform, and have a brand new relationship with money that's actually real, not judgment, so that you can then pass that down and pay it forward to the next generation.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And to stop the madness, stop the lies now.
Oh, I love it. Marla, preach.
I know. I'm telling you.
I love it. But you're absolutely right. And it is all based on mindset and behaviors. And if people would rethink, what are you saying about yourself when you say, I can't really afford this, or I can't afford that. And I mean, obviously you have to obviously look at your whole scenario, but it doesn't mean that you can't do better. And I think that's where, people do, they lack that thought process of, well, how, I can't get in any further than where I'm at. Nobody's going to want me to hire this, or nobody this or that. And that's no different than, you don't have to have a business owner to understand what your worth is. Even when you're on a job, when you have worked your butt off and you still are stuck in the same scenario because you're not willing to stand up for yourself, to fight for getting more, there's because you've made it up in your mind that you're not worth more than that, or nobody's going to believe that they're going to give you that. And we all go through that process. That's how we learn.
Sure.
That's how we learn where, we wouldn't be where we're at today if we hadn't really understood that process.
100%. And this is, here's a great example. I'll give you an example, of a client, and she's on my website as one of my testimonials. So I'm not sharing anything that she doesn't already know I'm sharing. And that is, this is one example of, I've been teaching this since 2010. So what is it, 12 years? This is one example of, hundreds. And they're just fabulous. I just love seeing the transformation that happens with this stuff. So the example is, and we're talking about, what you've been imprinted upon, right? So this woman who's had for 15 years, it was last, let's see, where are we? Yeah, it was 2021. It was April of 2021, and she was just coming out of, like all of us, out of the whole COVID thing, trying to pick up all the pieces last year, right? And she typically, was making a pretty decent high six-figure, revenues, and it got down to a trickle, right? Like a lot of people that were affected. So she came to me by referral, and literally within 3 weeks of beginning her 90-day program, boom, she broke it through and started bringing in all sorts of clients and so forth and money. But the challenge was, and she knew there was something going on with that she couldn't see, it was a blind spot about her money relationship, her money, her wealth consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Here she was, this, 14 years, and this year's been in business 14 years in business, for the most part, prior to COVID, was doing fabulous, making good, revenue, serving her community, doing what she needed to do in her industry, and doing it well. And then, of course, it went down because of COVID. But she knew she was capable of more, and she couldn't figure out how to get to that next level. She kept, and plus we add the pandemic in there. What I knew how to do was to zero in on, okay, well, what's your family think about money? And we started diving in, and she, sure enough, as we're talking about these various aspects of how she was brought up, she's the only one in her family that's positive.
Wow.
And that's positive about money. Everyone else talks in the negative about money and things that we just mentioned. And I said, well, guess what? I said, as positive as you are and as smart as you are, you're driving with the brake on. Because of this money story that was handed down. And she goes, I knew it. Smart lady. She goes, gosh darn it, I knew it. She said, okay, we got to turn this around. I said, that's why we're here, And sure enough, after, I gave her various new habits and tools and things to use, both spiritual as well as tangible. A lot of stuff about gratitude, a lot of affirmations, as well as very specific tangibles. Literally, it blew me away. Within 3 weeks, she started out of left field, started getting all these inquiries about her service, about her, things that she was offering in her business. She wasn't literally marketing. It just started showing up.
Wow.
And it hasn't stopped. Honestly, by the end of last year, and we coached for 4 months, I think, her momentum never stopped after that that initial breakthrough. And she surpassed her annual revenue goal by about 200,000. 200,000 more than what she had.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge.
That's huge. Right.
Yeah.
Right?
That is definitely huge.
There you have it. Right? That's the core of what goes on in our psyches.
Right.
Not only in our psyche, right, but look at our habits, look at our behaviors. In other words, look at how you feel, how you think, and how you behave with money, and start questioning it.
Right. That's right.
Is that really true? Right? It's kind of like questioning the status quo, and all of a sudden you kind of wake up and go, wait a minute, and why is it that way?
Yeah. But even when you look at, when you look at your advertising and that we see, on television, there are certain things that will gravitate people to, oh, well, this is the only thing you can afford, and then there's other things that, well, if you can afford it, it's there for a reason. It keeps people to a certain level. It's all divine. It's all well coordinated, because I'm like, okay, to some degree, because if your mindset is stuck on this is all I can do, then people are going to, when they see something that's, this is my opinion, when they see something on TV or there's being advertised, because their mindset is just there, that's what they're going to focus on the most. They may desire,
agreed, yeah.
They may desire to have the other, but their mindset and that behavior hasn't changed. So why would they think of it any differently?
Exactly, and therefore they attract that which they believe and focus on. That's the power, and I'm so glad you're bringing this up. I mean, that is the power of what I call guarding, your mindset, guarding, your well-being, is that we are bombarded. That's another place that we get the money belief, is we're bombarded in our society, in addition to how we were raised, right, by our well-intended caregivers. They thought they were doing the right thing. But we're so bombarded. That's why you got to protect your mindset once it is transformed, right? Around a healthy relationship with money, and you have tools, and that's what happens with my clients is they have forever life tools now to use. Because we're constantly bombarded, whether it's by, like you said, a commercial, someone else talking about money, a blog article, whatever. You're going to hear negativity about money wherever you go, unless you are very careful about who you hang out with.
Absolutely.
Right? That
Absolutely.
like mine, right?
That's
like
right.
Mine. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, wow. I mean, you and I could be sitting here talking all night. we are definitely at the end of the show. But I just, before you go though, I want you to, if there's any other advice that you would like to give to somebody who is going through this process, whether they're trying to start a new business or whether they're trying to, stay on a job that they love, but they know that they need to be paid more. What other advice would you give them when it comes to this thought process of behaviors and mindset and about money?
Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh. It's always about education, everybody. Grab the books. In fact, I'll be telling you just in a moment here, I'll be giving you a link to a special page where you can get 3 of my downloads. And one of them is my top 20 success books, is that you have got to educate yourself, just like you feed nutrition into your body, garbage in, garbage out, right? So feed your mindset, go to experts, and there's plenty of them, including myself. There's plenty of experts around your mindset, around money, around anything for that matter. But that's what I recommend, is that you get, and I know a lot of your listeners, they're very, savvy women, and they're probably already doing that. They're listening to your podcast, which tells me they obviously are also good about education in their own. What are they feeding their mind, right? So that's number one, is to up level, right? Raise the bar, everybody, on what you're feeding your mind about money, about your relationship with money, right? Your wealth consciousness is another term. Google wealth consciousness, right? And look at my book list. Download my book list. There's several books that I recommend around this topic. So that's mainly the first and foremost, is the only thing that's going to really assist you ongoing before, during, and after getting, coached and transform your money is constantly feeding your mind, right? Constantly feeding it the truth, what's going to keep you on the up and up, opposed to the garbage that's out there, including the news.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So were you getting ready to tell us about the downloads? So why don't you go ahead and share your social media information and then talk about these great downloads that you're going to be offering the listeners.
Okay. Sure. Absolutely. So I had my team create, it's a special, URL. It's marladiann.com, and I know you'll put it in the show notes. marladiann.com/special. Okay, easy. Again, Marla Diann, DIANN.com, no E in the name, /special. What I have there is you can sign up for a 30-minute, just an intro call with me. It's free. It's just complimentary to go, you said this. I'd like to talk a little bit more about it. In other words, I like to have one-on-one conversations with people that find this, interesting, and they're curious more to know, right? So you can sign up for a 30-minute, complimentary call to just see where you're at. I also, on that same page, are 3 downloads, and you actually have to, you put in your name, your email, and you will receive to download. One is called Your Path to Higher Earning Power. It's all about this topic. Right? It's a couple pages. The other one is my top recommended success books, and the third one is 10 fun ways to something like inspire your creativity. Because I tend to work with creatives. So that's it. These are all complimentary. It's a way for you to kind of get a feel for what I've been talking about. And then if you want, you can talk with me.
All right. Well, you guys heard it. You heard it live, and you heard it first from Miss Marla. Marla is look, even if you don't do any of the classes, if you don't learn anything from this conversation today, I don't see how you would be crazy. But just to have that 30 minutes of conversation, that will boost you from 0 to 100% very quickly, because Marla has it. You just have it in you. You make people think. And even with this conversation we're having, even though we're laughing and clowning around about it, it's very important. It's, a very serious topic, because there are so many people who definitely, that habit, that thought process, that mindset has to be changed. Because I know I've gone through it more than once. You, like I said, you get yourself to a certain point, and then you're trying to figure out how do you continue to keep elevating yourself. And it's a big part of it is because we have that thought process of, well, nobody's going to want to do this. They're not going to pay me that, or not. There's always something going on in the back of our minds. And like you said, no fault of our own. These things happen, but you have to stay healthy. You have to keep educating yourselves. And I think that was the most important piece too that I heard, is that education is key now. Is to people, stop listening to everything you hear. Find out for yourself and learn, versus constantly just listening and thinking, well, they said this. Well, find out if what we're saying is the truth. Learn something about it. Don't just take our opinion. There's many other people you can review and learn about too. But if you truly want to learn and understand your behaviors and your mindset, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Miss Marla Diann. I think your conversation would be well worth it, and it'll get you to where the next level you need to be at. And Marla, I absolutely have enjoyed this conversation this evening with you, and I'm so thank you for giving me your time this evening to talk about this.
Oh my gosh, it's been absolutely delightful. I mean, you're right. We could talk forever. I have one sentence to say before we end, and that is, your relationship with money is one of the most profound relationships you'll have in this lifetime, next to yourself, your higher power, and your significant other. So heal it and get it to where you stand for your worth and your dignity.
Absolutely. Money is like the number one conversation most people have. It's the number one thing of how it affects your relationships, period. I mean, it's sad to say, but it really is a huge part of our everyday life. So you're in relationship with it. You are in relationship with money, whether you realize it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You're so glad to have been here.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Again, like I said, I do appreciate you coming on, spending some time with me tonight. And for everybody else, like I said, if you have not listened to this whole conversation, you need to go back and re-listen over and over and over. There's so much. I mean, Marla dropped some, as I call it, pink nuggets this evening. So, truly go back and listen and understand what your true worth is, understand about, like I said, mindset and behaviors. This is something we all fight within ourselves every single day. And of course, if you would like to talk to me and you would like me to help you get to either talk to Marla or myself of an understanding about business, please reach out to me at Kimberly at WSBILLC@gmail.com, and let's have that chat, and so we can help you take the proper steps you need to have to turn those dreams into a reality. And also, if you want more of your resource for success, we do accept monetary donations to support the podcast, and we accept those through Cash App, PayPal, Good Pods, Tip Jar, or you can go directly to the website at www.WSBILLC.com. And again, we would like to thank you all for listening to us tonight. We'll be back next week with more amazing guests. Be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcast. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.WSBILLC.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.